Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into an exclusive, inside look at OpenAI's absolute newest capabilities and the workflows that are genuinely reshaping how we use our technology. We're going to break down insights straight from an OpenAI insider on what it actually looks like to live at the absolute frontier of artificial intelligence right now.
So I want you to just think about this for a second. What actually happens when your AI stops just chatting with you and instead starts clicking around your computer, building entire applications overnight while you sleep, and even validating its own work? That's what we're looking at today. We are breaking down how these tools are completely changing the way we interact with software and automate our daily tasks. Because honestly, this is no longer just about generating text, it's about digital execution.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with meeting GPT-5.6, move to the super app, master loop engineering, check out computer use agents, look at the AI startup Flywheel, and finally wrap up with the tinkerer mindset. Let's just jump right in.
Section 1. Meet GPT-5.6, the new model family. Let's start with the actual engine powering this whole shift. So OpenAI hasn't just released one single massive brain here. Instead, it's more like a spectrum of intelligence versus cost. On one end, we have Sol. That's the absolute frontier model, the most intelligent one. Right in the middle is Terra, which optimizes for cost and speed. And finally, Luna, the smallest and cheapest option. But what the insider revealed is that Terra actually hits the absolute sweet spot. For your everyday, complex tasks, Terra dramatically drives down the unit cost of intelligence while still giving you incredible performance.
Well, what makes this family so special? The absolute game changer here is that these models don't just write better code, they excel at what's called implicit intent understanding. You don't have to be perfectly precise with your prompts anymore, the model kind of just figures out what you actually mean. We're also seeing massive leaps in front-end coding, which definitely used to be a weak spot. And perhaps most importantly, these are designed for long-running knowledge work. They can assess their own output and run incredibly efficiently on tokens to keep your costs down.
Section 2. The OpenAI Super App. A unified ecosystem. Now, to make all of this intelligence accessible, OpenAI has unified its fragmented tools into one single cohesive environment.
This new workspace is structured into three primary modes. Chat is the one we're all used to, great for quick back and forths, bouncing around ideas, and using voice mode. Then there's Work, which is totally optimized for general knowledge tasks. This is for the consultants and marketers, anyone analyzing PDFs, building slide decks, crunching spreadsheets. And finally, Code, where you get the full power of a development harness. And the crazy part, whether you're a developer in code mode or drafting a slide deck in work mode, you can run multiple parallel agents across this single ecosystem. You can literally delegate to 10 sub-agents all at once.
But okay, here is the feature that absolutely blew my mind. The mobile to desktop connection. You can now link the app on your phone directly to the local environment on your computer. Just imagine you have an idea where you're out walking in the park. You just pull out your phone, speak to the app, command it to research that idea, and it will autonomously write local markdown files straight onto your laptop sitting back at home. By the time you sit down at your desk, the whole thing is formatted and ready for you. No way, right?
Section 3. Mastering loop engineering. Goals over prompts. This brings us to a really fundamental change in how we operate. We are moving away from prompting and into loop engineering.
Let's look at the difference. Prompt engineering, which was all the rage last year, requires intense, step-by-step handholding. The AI does a task, stops, and basically asks, okay, what do I do next? Loop engineering totally flips the script. Instead of micromanaging every single step, you just set a firm goal. The AI writes the code, tests it, looks for errors, corrects its course, and continuously iterates in a loop until it hits that specific target.
By setting a persistent objective, a goal, you're essentially giving the AI a sandbox. You're telling it to try different approaches and validate its own success based on evidence without needing you to constantly step in. You just give it the destination, and it figures out the vehicle, the route, and the steering.
And why does this matter? Because of numbers exactly like this: 16 hours. The insider shared a story about setting a goal for an agent to build an app that ingests and categorizes a massive flood of Instagram DMs. The agent was just left alone overnight. It spun up headless browsers, which are those invisible web browsers running in the background. It navigated API roadblocks, built a UI, tested it, and ran completely autonomously for 16 solid hours. When the user woke up, the app was fully functional. That is the sheer power of loop engineering in action.
Section 4. Computer Use Agents. Navigating the UI.
Now, loop engineering isn't just for writing pure code in the background anymore. It now extends to visually interacting with your operating system.
Think about it. We all use software that agents can't traditionally plug into. Think of those clunky internal company portals, legacy expense software, or ancient databases. So how in the world does an AI automate a task if there's no back-end API for it to talk to?
The answer is computer use agents. And guys, this is a massive breakthrough. These agents can literally take over the mouse cursor on a virtual machine or your screen. They open a browser, look at the graphical user interface, read the buttons, and click through exactly like a human would. They can navigate a website you just built to hunt down visual bugs, or use an existing application that was literally never designed for AI.
And if it doesn't know how to navigate a specific tool, you just teach it using record and replay. You can literally share your screen with the AI, exactly like jumping on a quick Zoom call with a coworker. You show it how to submit your weekly taxi expenses, clicking through your specific folders and software. The AI watches, learns the visual layout, and then takes over that boring, repetitive task permanently. You can set it on a schedule and never have to touch an expense report again. How great does that sound?
Section 5. The AI Startup Flywheel. Strategy for Founders. Let's zoom out for a second. If a single individual can now wield the power of 100 engineers using these agents, how do you actually build a defensible business?
The advice from the inside is to focus on deep, vertical AI problems, meaning AI built for one highly specific industry. You need to obsess over a narrow customer problem, like highly specific legal workflows or complex healthcare diagnostics. You also need to build your solution based on where you predict the foundational models will be in 6 to 12 months. Find out what AI struggles with today, assume it will be solved shortly, and build the infrastructure for it now so you're first to market when the model catches up to your ambitious vision.
Once you launch, your defense isn't the technology itself. It's this loop right here. First, you build a minimally viable product, your MVP. Second, you distribute it aggressively. Third, you gather unique human feedback and proprietary data from real users. And finally, you feed that data back in to improve your specific customized agent. Anyone can use a base model, but nobody else is going to have the fine-tuned, customer-specific workflows you've developed through this continuous defensible flywheel.
Section 6. The Tinkerer Mindset, your competitive edge. To successfully build this flywheel, and frankly, just to survive in this new era, you have to adopt a very specific psychological approach to technology.
So the absolutely crucial point here is understanding one-way versus two-way doors. A one-way door is a decision you can't easily undo, like signing a 10-year office lease. You should move slowly and carefully there. But AI outputs are almost exclusively two-way doors. If the agent generates a terrible app, a bad slide deck, or a faulty marketing campaign, what's the penalty? There isn't one. You just delete it, tweak the goal, and run it again. Because the cost of failure is literally zero, you must lean heavily into rapid, fearless experimentation.
This quote perfectly captures the ethos of the frontier right now. The ultimate competitive advantage in an AI-first world isn't knowing how to code. It's the willingness to play, be wrong, fail in public, and continuously test out new workflows. Think about it. If you spend 10 minutes trying to automate a task and it fails, you only lost 10 minutes. But if it succeeds, you might save 2 hours every single week for the rest of your career.
Which leads us to our final thought. Now that the tedious, repetitive work, the coding, the data pulling, those horrible expense reports can be totally offloaded to these brilliant digital minions running in loops on your super app, the only limit left is the scale of your own curiosity. Your value is no longer in execution. It's in connection, relationships, and human obsession. So what uniquely human problem are you going to choose to solve next? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I highly recommend you start tinkering today, and I'll see you in the next one.